So, before we start, got two shoutouts for you this time. I got sent this really inventive bit of fan art of the guards from my class series. Looking at this just really makes me wish that I could animate in CG. God damn it, you guys, stop showing me up! Anyway, it comes from Cinemasinsins, who I highly recommend checking out while I'm here. The guy's got sarcasm down to a fine art. Secondly, okay, you know how I said I was open to more title sequences from you guys? Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but I doubt anyone's going to be able to compete with this. Go subscribe to Harry Robbins. Do it now. Link is in the description. That is an order. Anyway, Doctor Who, the emoji episode or whatever. Oh my god, emojis. Given these little things have been all over the marketing for season 10, I assume that someone high up, whoever came up with the idea, is really fucking pleased with themselves for coming up with emoji robots, when most of us reacted to this by pointing out that culturally, we've kinda reached peak emoji by this point. They had their fun for a while, but looking at the astronomically negative reaction that the Emoji movie trailer got, while people still use them, they're not really, that important enough to model a piece of fiction around. And people just see it as a cynically desperate attempt to go, look consumers, you know these, buy tickets for our product because you know these. It would be hard not to be cynical about the idea of a Doctor Who episode about emoji robots. So yeah, I, like most people, had the reaction of, serious, you're making a Doctor Who episode about fucking emojis, back when this was first announced. However, now that I actually think about it, setting the emoji in a sci-fi context kinda makes a scary amount of sense to me. Okay, just let's think about this logically, okay? Do people actually genuinely think that emojis are great? They must do, right? There must be people who consider themselves to genuinely be fans of emojis. They're fucking everywhere. But how often do people think about them? How important is an emoji to you? Because they're probably not as popular or as important to people as they appear to be given how prolific they are. While conversely, lots of people actively dislike emojis, myself included. You wouldn't think that there'd be much of an audience for emoji-based products given you primarily got light approval, disinterested apathy, and active dislike as your main demographics, and yet media is being put together under the assumption that people genuinely like them enough to want to know more, and the only evidence for their being overwhelmingly popular is just the fact that people use them, when that statistic doesn't give you any more than a surface-level insight into what people think of them, or whether they generally think anything of them at all and it's worth making a movie about them. So as a result, they've pretty much become completely fucking inescapable for no reason. And given they're so piddly and insignificant, there's not enough of a backlash to cause them to go away. And hey, maybe in the future some company will put out robots that speak in broad generic smiley faces because the designers think that it makes them more relatable when in reality everyone's just too disinterested to object. Alright, maybe you think this is stupid, but it's stupid in a way that I can actually imagine some twat in a boardroom saying, well, how do we design robots that really connect with our base demographic? Make them speak emoji. You can either laugh or groan at this, but this is probably one of the most actually pretty likely to genuinely happen Doctor Who ideas I've ever bloody seen. And also, just because an episode sets out with the premise of principally being centered on emoji robots doesn't mean that it supports the emoji in principle, as Smile is actually pretty cynical about the whole idea itself, and as a result, it's taken measures to expand on the emoji concept. It is not a Doctor Who based celebration of the emoji, it's merely used emojis as a springboard to get to some more interesting ideas regarding man's relationship with technology, and it goes way, way beyond there are emojis in Doctor Who, which I'm pretty sure is what most of us expected. I was shocked at how deep Smile's gone with this topic, and at the same time, it also acts in the capacity of your bog standard broad appeal episode of New Who that pretty much anyone can just watch and appreciate on the surface level. This is fucking beautiful. It does stuff for neck-bearded twats like me who enjoy pretentiously jabbering about themes and the whole family. Seriously, what's not to like about this? While it is pretty obvious to suggest a Doctor Who story where the happy smiley-faced emoji robots get a frowny face when they're annoyed and then a death face when they start killing people, what the episode's actually done with that idea is then think, wait, but why would emoji robots start killing people? Why and how have they reached that conclusion? And that's because the emoji is the distillation of what someone thinks represents human life, but it's just a representation of human life in its most basic form: happy, annoyed, sad, angry. There's nothing in between. Emojis don't understand you. They can't interpret humanity in a nuanced way. That's why Frank Cottrell Boyce's application of this reveal that all this death is the result of the robots applying a warped logic to dealing with grief makes so much sense to me. Because grief is just one of those emotions that's completely incompatible with the emoticon. Because think here, when was the last time that you saw someone tweet, "Oh my god, just walked in and found my mum dead on the kitchen counter. Sad face crying emoji." You wouldn't do that, would you? Because that'd be inappropriate. It would just feel wrong. How does a robot process grief? How does the way that a robot interprets grief differ from the way that a human interprets grief? And importantly, how does a robot's solution to grief differ from a human's? The robots just approach things differently to us and apply different logical conclusions because they just don't look at things in the same way. They see one emotion as just that. They don't have a way of understanding and expressing the nuances and complexities in between. Just like an emoji. Smile is essentially a story of dissociation. This future has been crafted entirely by robots and technology for the primary reason that anyone invents any robots or any bit of technology: to make life easier. The building is made of robots, it's easily and automatically crafted, the design is beautiful, and it looks too perfect to have been made by humans. The brilliant white sterile walls of the place, it kinda looks like a giant airport terminal from another dimension. The emoji robots serve humans bizarre cubes of blue jelly. This vision of the future just looks and feels out of place and nothing like anywhere that you regularly inhabit on Earth. When Classic Who used to make future sets that looked brilliant white and sterile and alien, yeah, it usually looked a bit corny, but that was the point. It is the future. The more unfamiliar it looks, the stranger the experience for the viewer. And that's what I want from Doctor Who, a strange experience. And Smile's the ultimate culmination of all those years of developing alien-looking futures. Just the design of this place, the spiralling stairs here, just the appearance of the building sat in these fields, it's just breathtaking in how unfamiliar and out of place it looks. And all the while sat inside it are these robots designed to look and feel recognisable to us. The emoji's supposed to be warm and friendly, but it's very much the opposite. It's what technology thinks a human is like, but it can't understand the complexities of a human being, so in order to fulfill its function, it does what it needs to in order to create a happy world. Take this early scene where this lady's being forced to be happy while she's telling this other lady that a load of people have died. This scene could have been paced a lot better, it felt a bit too frantic in my opinion, but it does do a good job in setting up Smile's premise about how technology has begun to force human beings to act in an entirely inhuman way. Oh, and I just love the bit where they find the spaceship too. Just that contrast between the dirty, rusty, rivet-covered human-designed spaceship and the facility made of microbots. Visually, it just further cements this point about the disconnect between technology and humanity even this far into the future. Those gaps between organic creatures and fabricated ones are still there. Just like the Doctor says in this one, this is the difference between wet brains made of flesh and dry brains made of wires and microchips. What's scary about Smile is very real, and it's the disconnect between man and machine, and the manipulation of human emotions by machines. I'm hoping they get brought back at some stage and get given more episodes dedicated to what they represent, because there's a shit ton of interesting real-world applications that sprung to my mind throughout the duration. For example, it just got me thinking back to when I used to work on the checkouts in a supermarket. And they'd give you employee evaluations where they'd rate your smile out of 5. When you're working in customer service, you're almost being held hostage to this concept of forced happiness. You're not allowed to show any of your other emotions, fear, anger, guilt, self-loathing, because, basically just being human is irreconcilable with the concept of efficiency. And the concept of efficiency is what defines machines and technology. Seriously, am I the only one utterly fascinated by this? I was expecting something base and obvious. They look gimmicky as fuck, but just the way that they've been used in Smile is bloody marvellous. The first 15 minutes or so from when the TARDIS lands here are really bloody good too. Just like with the pilot, it's very simple, but it gets me invested in the characters back and forth. It's just a straight 15 minutes of the Doctor and Bill wandering around and exploring a highly detailed alien environment. It's really well written dialogue too, really fluid and natural, the jokey banter, the pop culture references, Bill's comments and questions. She's a great fish out of water avatar for the audience members to relate to. And the Doctor and Bill just look and sound so out of place wandering through this environment. Their clothes, their faces, the way they talk. I thought the emoji backpatches were a really cool idea too. The dialogue was a bit openly explainy at this bit, look, here is the next bit of this world. Let us now describe it and how it works. But it is a cool idea, so I'll let it slide. Everyone can see a simple distillation of what you're feeling on your back. I will admit it goes a bit south when the humans wake up. Part of me thinks we should have had a second part to dedicate more time to the colonists' relationship with the robots themselves and the way that they've made them start acting. Their simplistic response to hearing the Vardy have gone homicidal could have been a lot deeper, explored how humans have started acting with the limited emotional response of an emoji, but it appears to have been skimmed over for timing issues. Oh, and the way they resolve it is a total and complete cop-out, I agree there. But I wasn't really bothered by that because I'd already had my fill of interesting ideas by that point. I mean, it does kinda make sense to have a bit of a Deus Ex Machina at the end, given the themes that Smile have been dealing with, but yeah, I did feel a bit ripped off after the episode had hooked me so violently throughout the duration. So anyway, in conclusion... Guys, I don't know what to say, I think I like this episode, like, a whole lot. Like, way more than I should. Like, I don't know why people are feeling so meh about the whole thing. Personally, I think it's a stroke of genius. I know you were all dreading this episode, especially because Frank Cottrell Boyce's last episode was In the Forest of the Night, which was just waffle and terrible romantic skits. This here, big and interesting ideas, well-realised future. This is an improvement in every way possible. Really, I'm being totally serious here. Yeah, alright, it's not perfect, it's got some cack-handed bits, but... I mean, so do we all. We all have flaws. No one's perfect after all, but no, no, everything is perfect. Everything is good. Please don't kill my family. Look at me. Everything is happy and smiley and lovely. Everything is happy and smiley and lovely. Everything is happy and smiley. Happy and smiley. Happy and smiley. Happy and smiley. Happy and... No.
There will be no more moaning anymore. Smile.